You can't see, but I've got goosebumps like coming up around my ears under these headphones.
The virality of the video.
Wedding photographers and videographers are a little bit apprehensive.
But I got 8.4 million on that.
Nobody goes from 1850 to 10k.
Because I send a voice message, the more likely to send a voice message back.
TikTok's like a strange blend between a YouTube and an Instagram.
They're expecting to see the $10,000 camera after they've seen the iPhone footage.
People do underestimate YouTubers.
1999 and 1950.
Mine was like that until about 6 months ago.
The person who's best to compare myself to is me.
We remove our opinion on all of the content.
Shock horror, my Insta360 caught the whole thing.
It's going to sound awful and probably get crucified for this.
Oh, yeah, something has happened once, but the police have come.
How's it going, everyone? Jamie, how you doing, mate?
All good, mate. What's going on?
All good, mate. Just excited to get in today's live because this topic has came up quite a lot recently, not just in our own Facebook group, but I keep seeing comments across other Facebook groups asking about Instagram and SEO, because although we're going to focus today's Facebook Live about Instagram SEO in 3 ways that you can actually take advantage, what we're actually going to be going over today probably transfers across to just about all of the social platforms, because TikTok are starting to implement this, Facebook, even YouTube to an extent. But we are going to focus on Instagram today, but there's a lot of, I hate saying this word, there's a lot of transferable skills that can be used on other platforms. That's my teacher mode coming out there. But certainly some of the things that we're going to go over, I know definitely plays a role in your TikTok posting as well. So let us know who's here in the comments. I can see we've got about 10, 11 people on already. Great, guys. Let us know in the comments who is here. And if you've got any questions as we are going through today's Facebook Live, just drop them in and me and Jamie are going to answer them for you. Jamie, anything you'd like to kind of kick off with before we start this live today? Anything you want to go over, mate, or you just want to jump straight in?
No, I'm just pulling up here. I'm just pulling up the live on my phone so that we can see anyone's questions that don't appear on their names. But no, happy to just dive in. I think I've seen it become. I mean, I always enjoy like creating clarity around these things because I think that it's really quick to get things like bad advice is really quick to spread at the same time, and incorrect advice is really quick to spread. So I always like creating some clarity around these and providing as much help as we can. So if you are watching and you do have any questions, make sure you get them in and we'll get your answers and we'll get to the bottom of everything.
Yeah. Luke's just saying, hi, Luke. Well, he's not saying, hey, Luke, how you doing? Oh, look at that. StreamYard must have done an update on the way it displays.
Little profile picture there.
Yeah, it's bigger now. It used to be smaller than that. But hi, Luke. Thanks for jumping on, mate. Any questions any questions that you've got as we are going through, mate? Just obviously get them on. Nathan is saying, afternoon, guys. Afternoon, Nathan. Thanks for jumping on, mate. Thanks for being here. Like I said, mate, any questions that you've got, feel free to get them in and we will answer them for you. So the truth about Instagram SEO and the 3 ways that you take advantage. I think a good starting point for us, Jamie, for everyone to go over, we'll be talking about keywords, because I think it's kind of one of those buzzwords that people keep talking about. And anytime you mention SEO historically, it's always, what keywords have you got on your website? What keywords are you using? But I don't think people really understand what it means. Yes, you might think, okay, I want to be like a wedding photographer or wedding videographer, but there's certain things that you can do with keywords. It's not about just writing individual keywords. There's a way you can structure it, and there's proper research that you should be doing, really. So let's get into some of the keyword stuff.
Yeah. So I think similarly, because the algorithm's adapting to this and it's kind of slowly phasing out hashtags. I still think it'll take a while for them to get phased out, but when you consider keywords and the fact that it's moving towards this, you have to consider where keywords have been prevalent before in Google SEO and how Google has tracked SEO as well in the past and the more recent past as well. So we've seen that in Google, SEO and websites have been punished for having inauthentic or bad SEO in the sense of, somebody posted in this group about an image, a screenshot of it, and people were just writing words like literally just like hashtags, but instead of the hashtag, it was just words with I think it was periods or bullet points in between them. So that's going to be classed as inauthentic, and it's going to be classed as somebody trying to hack the algorithm in the same way that if you've got a WhatsApp engagement pod where you all like each other's posts, you probably don't get any reach at all because the algorithm evolved in 2019 to identify that and restrict the reach of those kind of accounts because it's inauthentic and you're trying to hack the system. It's going to view the SEOs the same way. Google started punishing websites that did it. Instagram will likely start off that way as much as it can because it's learned, you're smarter if you learn from other people's mistakes, and you can kind of, instead of starting where Google started, you may as well start where Google is. So if you just write your regular post and then, just paste a load of random words in there, you're probably going to get punished. If you don't get punished for reach right now, you will do in the future. So it's much better. I think the first tip is to not do that, but to have your list of words and then spend the time to include as many as you can. And I think, like you said, Billy, don't include stuff like the bad hashtags like Blue Monday and or whatever. What was the other ones?
Living life to the full. Yeah.
Just random things that get a lot of search volume. Just make sure that you're including all of these words in a really valuable, informative piece of copy and the text on your post and your ad, and just make sure that you aren't trying to hack the system because the algorithm will recognize that and punish you.
I don't know who this one is actually because I can't even see the comment on Facebook, but it has came from Facebook and not YouTube. But hi guys, who's saying that? Paul is just saying hi guys. It's been a while since I've been able to join. Nice to have you back on, Paul. Any questions you've got, just get them in. But one thing that you mentioned there, Jamie, right, about hacking the algorithm. Can we just clear up one thing here, right? Because I know that a lot of you guys are often looking for support with SEO. You might be hiring someone to help you with SEO, which is totally fine if you want to go external. But if you do go to work with someone and they try to tell you they know a hack to hack the algorithm, just please do me a favor and run a mile, because no one can hack the algorithm. You can leverage it, you can know how it works, and you can optimize it, but there's no tricks. The algorithm's much smarter than any of us will ever be. So you're much better off working with someone who understands the algorithm and then really understands SEO. But it's important that to understand that you cannot hack it. It's not hackable. You've just got to be able to understand how it works and do research. I remember, God, I must be going back 9-10 years ago when I had a meeting with someone way before me and you were working together, Jamie, and I was going to help them with just some marketing stuff in general. And he tried to tell me that he had someone who could hack the algorithm for Google SEO. And what his hack is that you write loads of keywords at the bottom of his webpage and you change the color to the same color as his background, so the text would disappear. And I was like, that doesn't work. I was like, you can't do that. So it's
the algorithm doesn't see in color.
It's just one of those things. So if anyone tries to sell your services by doing that, please do just run a mile. But the key thing really with keywords is like Jamie said, it's using words that people actually search for, not like people are on holiday. I know it's not wedding related and that, but they're on holiday and they're like hate Mondays and stuff like that. No one's going to search for that sort of hashtag. So you need to be using stuff. Yes, we've got some real obvious ones in the wedding industry that you can use and in terms and locations and stuff. But there was Jimmy, what was the post the one in the group where someone was just writing a list of keywords? You've got to be able to construct the keywords into a sentence for it to be useful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have to make sure that it is included. The keywords are included in something meaningful. Otherwise, you've got to think about how it's viewed by the user as well. Yes, users aren't coming and being like, "Oh, these are lazy. I'm not hiring these," because you've got a bunch of keywords just pasted there. But a lot of people will, and also, it is a little bit lazy. Like, it is quite lazy, and it's not deliberately lazy in a sense. It's lazy from a point of view of, you know, writing text and doing all that. It does take a bit of time, and it is a little bit consuming. But you can't, you know, if you aren't good at writing whatsoever, then there's definitely some reason. Like, you could use ChatGPT to try and help you and just make sure that it's you know, things are actually entertaining and valuable and stuff like that. But it's when you start, if you just bulk paste a load of words in there, you're gonna overnight get punished by it, and it's gonna it'll really damage things in the long run.
Before we go on to the next point, and the next point's really good for everyone, but mainly it's really good for people who post images. So a lot of the photographers in the group. But before we go on to point 2, I think like just talking specifically about hashtags is probably a good thing, because on Instagram, you can have a maximum of 30 hashtags, and the long gone of the days where people you just put the maximum 30 and you just hope that you get loads of reach. And yes, it did work. Hashtags did work for a while, but because of the way new content served on social media, hashtags are becoming way, way less relevant. At the minute, they still hold some value. So we're not saying don't use hashtags at all. But if you do just a little bit of research on like Instagram SEO, and this applies to even when you upload like a YouTube video, YouTube gives you the same advice for hashtags. Is that it's not used generally to push out your content, but it can help understanding what your content's about.
Yeah.
If your description isn't clear, this is what YouTube actually says. If your description isn't clear, so they're telling you straight away that the SEO in your description and your captions is already outpowering hashtags, but it recommends that you use a maximum of 3 to 5 hashtags just to give it a little bit of guidance if it needs to help it understand the category that your content needs to be served out to. But I think it's also important to understand how your content's served out, and even when you're running paid ads, it's all the same. So they're using your keywords, they're using your copy, they're reading the text that's on your captions and on your images and videos. They can actually read your videos in terms of understanding what imagery is and what's happening. Like, you can upload something to ChatGPT and say, what is happening in this photo? And ChatGPT will give you an explanation of what's happening, because the algorithms now can actually read. Well, it's all binary, isn't it? It's all just ones and zeros. So it can read what's going on. So it's not just about hashtags and things like that anymore. It's a collective, and it's how you utilize the collective to give yourself the best opportunity of getting your content pushed out to new people. But what happens is your content served out to people who's engaging with the type of content you're posting. So in our case, we're obviously all posting wedding content. So we need to give the algorithm the best opportunity to know that our content is about weddings. And this is where your keywords, your hashtags, your written copy, what your actual imagery and video is about as well. It all works together. There's kind of no hack. It's just a case of doing everything and making sure you're doing it the best way you possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any questions? Any questions
about
that?
You know what's warping my brain is the hi guys comment that is invisible on the actual video.
Yeah, well, I thought it might have came from YouTube, but it hasn't, because it's got the Facebook logo next to it. And we're only live in one place on Facebook inside of this group, so I'm not sure, unless it was a deleted comment, but StreamYard doesn't delete it.
Yeah.
Maybe. So just while we're waiting for some questions to come in. So tip number 2 for helping with your search engine optimization on Instagram is using alt text. That's ALT. Now, alt text is something that's been around for like a long time. Putting descriptions on images, and things like on website SEO and web designers, they recommend that you go through and have alt text on absolutely every single image that you have on your website, because that can help with the search engine algorithms when they are pulling through any information or searches. But inside of Instagram, when you're about to post an image, if you go into advanced settings, you can actually add your own alt text. So you can actually take control of the description of the imagery that you're uploading. Now, one thing to actually note here is that Instagram, you have to bear me through. I've been on well this week, so I can tell it's going croaky already. One thing to note here is that Instagram will automatically populate your alt text if you don't do it. However, you're then reliant on Instagram to correctly identify what your content is about, and it'll use things like your page, your bio, previous content, and things like that. It'll obviously look at the copy, keywords, hashtags, but you're reliant on it. So if you're gonna use the alt text, I would highly recommend taking control of this and doing it yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that you actually highlight another point there as well in terms of SEO, being able to be searchable. Make sure your actual Instagram description has as many keywords in as possible in the description and used well. But that alt text, much to your point, is like making sure that the algorithm is going to do a decent job. But it's just like if you ask ChatGPT to write something for you, it's going to write almost exactly as you ask it to. And sometimes, most of the time, we don't ask it to do things as detailed as we need it to be. So it will just get. So if you just type in ChatGPT now, write me a headline for a wedding website or whatever it is, it's going to give you some pretty basic stuff. You need to get into some detail and ask it more detail, and make sure it checks a few boxes. Same thing with the alt text. It's going to make some assumptions, and you haven't been able to control the power and not just the power, the impactfulness and the actual words that happen in the alt text for searchability is much more important.
Got some questions here. I'm just going to there's a really good question here from John. Hi, John. Thanks for jumping on, mate. I'm just going to come back to John's question in a minute. Gary is just saying that I deleted a comment because it came up twice. Oh, that would explain it. Now we know that obviously if you delete something from the Facebook live, StreamYard removes it. Arash is on. Hey, how you doing, Arash? Thanks for jumping on, mate. So John's question's good, Jamie. I'll let you answer this one, but I've just got some stats just before you answer this one. So she's saying, lads, how much copy would you recommend? 1 paragraph, 10. And Jamie, you can answer this one. But one thing to note is that there's a character limit of 2,200 characters on Instagram, which I don't know when that increased. I'm sure it used to be much lower than that.
It was, yeah. TikTok recently increased it to match a few months ago.
Yeah.
Christmas.
So you are limited on the number of characters, but in terms of the actual, how much would you recommend, Jamie? What are you thinking here from a copy expert's perspective?
So I think that I would say the length is never an issue as long as it continues to be compelling and valuable and entertaining and readable. Not just be readable, but look readable as well. So avoid like chunky paragraphs. But I think you can make it as long. You don't even make it longer than it needs to be, but also don't make it shorter than it needs to be, just to like check the box on your task list. The biggest thing is to include something that's going to make people want to know more about it. So as an example, the go-to thing for people to do seems to be to post some kind of love quote and then say, I had a great time shooting this wedding, and then tag all the other suppliers as to hope it gets reached. Is this you?
I'm guilty. I'm guilty. And I think, I'm a bit guilty of it. And I do think it comes down to laziness a little bit when I'm doing my own wedding content. I agree with what you're saying.
And I think laziness is, it's the right word, but it's not the right word in the terms of, photographers and videographers are exceptionally busy. They've got a lot of time-consuming tasks on their hands. But if you just spent a little bit more time in the process of 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you're going to be so much better off. And also that time that you spend is going to shrink because you'll just develop patterns and create better skills. But as an example for that, instead of just love quote, had a great time shooting this, here's the suppliers, and then something like if you want your wedding shot, here it is, like DM, slide
That's
it.
99% of people.
Yeah. So in order there's two things you can do. You can add to just that template to make it 10 times more interesting. Is instead of the love quote, you can have something. This is where my mind immediately goes to, is to start out with a really interesting and intriguing scenario or something that happened at the wedding and create mystery around it. So you could start it out with the latest, this, you know, if the couple's names, I don't know, Sam and Danny. I don't know why I've picked those names. I'm sure a magician would be able to tell us, but never mind. Sam and Danny had an amazing wedding at whatever the venue, at Ramside Hall. But what happened after the first dance really blew me away. Before we get there, I'd like to say that it was a great chance to work with all these suppliers. And now everybody's wondering what happened at the end of the post. And now you can, so and then you get into it, and then you tell the short story around that event at the bottom, and then that creates the intrigue. And then it also, if you are posting a video or a slideshow like a carousel, it makes them want to see that as well if that scenario is created around there. So just pick something from the day that was interesting. Hopefully it's something that doesn't normally happen at most weddings. If not, it could just be, you know, even if it's a regular thing, like, you know, we always talk about things like the dad reveals and, you know, the groom's first look. And you can just create mystery, intrigue around those. But that's a really quick way just to like instantly improve and make things more readable. But when that happens, when things are more readable, people are going to spend more time on your posts, and that's the algorithm's tracking this, and it's a really big signal to the algorithm that, right, people are enjoying this because people are stopping. On the same way that we measure the effectiveness of video ads when they stop and the time of watching the video goes up. Same thing for the scroll stop on the post. The algorithm's measuring all of this. So it's a really strong signal that people enjoy reading your posts. And they're going to go down to the bottom. They're going to read everything. And it's a really quick way. So the length isn't never an issue until it gets boring, basically. So but the longer it is, the harder it is. So don't make it longer than it needs to be, but a really quick way to make it long enough to be engaging and, you know, add on top of what you're doing already is just start with that intrigue, create a little bit of a pause. Actually, I tell you what's a really good way to learn this, a fun way to learn this, what I'd started doing a couple of months ago, and it's really fun. I listen for this whilst I'm listening to it as well. But if anyone that pays for Spotify Premium, which I think is like £6 a month or something like that, to listen to podcasts and stuff and get the music, I do. But even if you don't, the podcasts are free. There's a lot of really good true crime podcasts and like unsolved mysteries and stuff. And the way that they're told, that set up drama and they set up tension is unreal, is really good. Or even if you watch Law and Order or Suits, which is my virtual background here, I love Suits. Like all of those things that happen in between scenes and at the end, that's a way to set up so you can try and use them as leading or what we call curiosity gaps at the start. So you talk about a moment, you hint at it, and then you say something like, before we get there, or, but what happened next nearly blew me off my feet. Before we get to that, I'd like to thank the supplier. And do you know what I mean? Like that creates that emotional intrigue. So someone said you lost me at true crime. That looks like a Naeem comment.
It is Naeem. It is Naeem.
Naeem, if you go onto your emojis, that is your most used emoji, I guarantee it. That's how I know that's like his signature. But yeah, obviously you don't have to do that, but I would think about that. That's just a really quick way to improve the readability. So I hope that was a bit of a ramble, but I hope that answers your question.
I think for the readability as well, like if you are going to use a lot of text, multiple sentences, multiple paragraphs, like making sure that you space it out as well, because there's nothing worse than having like just one huge block of text, because people look at it and they'll just be like, there's no way that I'm going to read that. It's like, well, we use the example, I think it was just last week actually, when we're talking about like if someone posts a random bit of junk mail through your post and it's got this huge amount of text, you're just going to throw it straight in the bin. I mean, you probably throw it in the bin anyway, but it's what my point is that if something's spaced out and it doesn't look like a chore to read, there's much more likelihood that you're going to be able to read it. So, but when someone started reading it, I agree with what you're saying, Jamie. Like, there's no such thing as something that's too long. Like, if it's exciting and entertaining and people want to read it, it only becomes a problem when it gets boring. And I'm definitely guilty. Like 100%, I'm guilty of what you've just described there. Like, had a pleasure shooting his wedding. He has the suppliers. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just such a 99%. And I feel like it is a thing that you kind of default to when you're busy and you just want to get to, like you've got, it was a good point you made there about you ticking your task list off, because it's like, right, I've got to post a bit of content, I'll quickly post it, and then right, what can I write? All right, well, I'll just write this. And it is, but I think it's becoming more, SEO on the social platforms is obviously becoming massive because they're all heavily kind of investing. That's why they've upped the character limit. Like even TikTok, I know we're talking about Instagram here, but if we just go to TikTok for a second, Jamie, you mentioned that they upped the character limit to match Instagram. Now, I for one, can't remember the last time I even read a caption on TikTok. I just never, ever do. But TikTok obviously see value in the copy that people are writing in terms of being able to give the users a better experience by serving the content out. So it's not even necessarily all about just making sure people are reading it. It's about the algorithm being able to kind of hone in and give the users a better experience by serving them the content that they're engaging with. So
I think it's just on that point there, it's really funny you said that, because the missus last night, I'm talking about literally last night, the missus, this is so ironic. The missus showed me a video. She was like, she showed me something. And then after we're done watching it, I was like, so I was sat on one side of the sofa. She was sat on the other. She was like, look at this. So I like leaned over on one arm to see what she was talking about. And she showed me a funny video. And then we just kind of like watched a couple of videos together. And the second video that she scrolled up, there was like two people, a woman and a man, doing like a dance at a wedding. It's ironic that it was at a wedding because this is not, it's just an irony. And they were dancing, and it was a bit of like they were doing this dance, but you weren't sure what was going on. And both of us at the same time, as we were unsure what was going on, what your eyes divulged to the copy for more context. So I think that's a really good example of when it does come into play. But you're right, everything is very video, like media based on TikTok, but I think that's a really good way, because it was like basically there was a woman and a man dancing, doing like a routine dance, but you weren't sure. And you could see it was at a wedding, and the man was in a suit, but the woman was in like a black dress. So you were like, it's not the bride, but who is it? That looks like a groom. Who is it? And when you go to the copy, it was mom and son wedding dance. So it was his mom, but she didn't look that old. Do you know what I mean? Like there was just more context in there. So I think that's a good example of when the copy does become relevant. But it's certainly made we read the copy and read through it and stuff like that. But yeah, it's very much media based. But whenever you can create intrigue and stuff on things, it helps in such a massive way.
Definitely. Nathan's just saying that thrillers are a brilliant example of long form retention of interest. I'd not thought of that. Yeah.
I tell you what about this? What I've just said there, what I just mentioned is having what was the word that I used? I can't remember. Anyways, having those thriller that at the beginning of a Instagram post, making sure you have that curiosity gap. If you want like a list of template curiosity gaps, it posted in the group, comment gap. Just put the comment gap, and if we get more than 5, then we'll create a list and give it to everyone in the group. Like templates that you can use on your Instagram posts.
I suppose point 3, right, of what we're going to talk about, we've already talked about in encompassment of everything, really, because point 3 was just start writing copy properly rather than actually just listing keywords out. But just some of the things that we've not really touched on the copy, there's a few other places where the SEO can be quite helpful. And I was just doing a bit of research on this actually this morning when I was looking into more depth, and there was some data by, who was it? Was it SEMrush maybe, or HubSpot? It was one of them. But they were saying that having keywords in the name of your title can be quite beneficial. It was like a 13% increase, and not huge, but I've already actually got that. So I've got like above the action - wedding films, because it can help with the searchable relatability. I'm not saying everyone go and change your Instagram names, by the way. I'm just trying to give you some of the other tips. But it was also saying in your bio, make sure that you've got the keywords as well. So in your bio, have a good descriptive bio. Obviously, you're quite limited on the characters, but making sure that you've got the keywords that you want to rank for inside of there as well. It's a bit like doing it. I suppose what I'm recommending you do is go and do a bit of a MOT on your social platforms, and just making sure that you've got all the keywords and the descriptors and the copy all in place. And if you've kind of been writing posts like I've been recently, like the exact way Jamie described, is start to write actual copy. And that's what 3.3 was, that we wanted to go over, was actually start writing real copy. But start thinking about it with a bit of strategy behind it. Like, what keywords do you want to rank for and why? And if you start searching the platform, so Instagram, for the keywords that you want to rank for, search and see what actually comes up. And then you might get some other good ideas from other people. Do a little bit of research, do a little bit of digging on what people are actually doing. It's a good way of doing it. Just a couple of people commenting gap there, John, Luke. Yeah, good stuff, guys. If we get 5 in there, we'll put
Luke's
that in there.
Luke's commented gap in about 3 different languages, I think.
Yeah. Gapity gap. Just going off track a little bit here, but we're always happy to answer questions, right? This is an ads question. Hi, Alex. How are you doing? Thanks for jumping on. Alex is just saying that I'm getting lots of link clicks on a lead campaign, but no inquiries. This ad has only been running 4 days. I know that it is premature, but I'm wondering if this is normal or my landing page is turning them off.
Right, just before I get to that, Luke said he's driving. Luke, stop typing when you're driving, you maniac. And just type gap on the replay. But you've already typed it 100 times, so I get it. Just stop typing when you're driving, please. You're giving us anxiety. So no inquiries. How much, first of all, Alex, how much are you spending per day? Because I think this is quite a common misconception, Billy, that we talk about a bit, is that time isn't indicative of results. It's spend, because if you're spending, £20 a day versus spending £2 a day, 4 days means something completely different. So it's really important that allow the
£16 a day.
Yeah, it's totally massive difference. So impressions is a bigger thing. So £16 a day for 4 days, what's that, 64 quid? I think that if you haven't had any inquiry at 64 quid, first of all, look at what your lead cost needs to be. If you search the Group 4 lead calculator, you'll find a post and a free spreadsheet you can download to kind of calculate what your lead costs need to be. It's based on your conversion rate of how many leads that you get. How many of those do you turn into an actual booking? So it's important, I think, to know those numbers before you start analyzing things, because you kind of have to. We've actually got, so this is a really good example. We've got some members in the group. So Billy, what's your lead cost? Your goal lead cost is about 40 quid or something?
Yeah, I'm happy with about 40 quid.
And we've got somebody else in the accelerator who has an abnormally high conversion rate from their website, and they've sussed out that we've gathered together that they can do £80 leads, and this person has actually spent less than 500 quid and booked over 10 grand's worth of weddings. So you need to know those numbers, because if we're going on like just general like £30 leads, whatever it is, she would have culled her ads way before she was getting leads, but £80 leads has booked 10 grand's worth of bookings because of the conversion rate. So it's important that you know those numbers. And I think that, if you are you sending them to, whether or not you're sending them to a lead form and a landing page is important, because you've said like your landing page has turned them off. That is a possibility. And this is why this kind of comes into play. This is where it comes into play, is that a lead form, generally speaking, you will get more inquiries, but it'll be lower quality. With a landing page, you will get less inquiries because it's much easier for it to become a bottleneck, in the fact that an actual website landing page needs to be optimized in a very particular way. So if you want to post your landing page in the group or in the comments, we can maybe take a look at that for you. But also post your ad, because actually without seeing the ad itself and the copy and the creative as well as the landing page, it's hard to identify where the issue lies. And I think that it's a big assumption that within the industry, not saying that this is you, by the way, Alex, at all, but we've seen in the past a lot of people will post their work because of a photographer or videographer and just assume that it's going to be good enough to get people in. But you don't need to create, you shouldn't be creating necessarily deliverables for clients as ads. You should be creating content that is optimized for social media to gain their interest, and then direct them towards the deliverable content that they want. And a lot of people, like I put a poll in the group today as well, about how much time people spend on their copy, and admittedly, most of the results is not a lot. But it's really important that you do spend that time. So it's really hard to make an assumption. Could be your ad, could be a landing page. If you post like a screenshot of your ad, maybe, and your landing page inside the group or in the comments here, we'll take a look for you and see what we can drum up.
With you mentioned the training there, I know I get a lot of messages asking when we're releasing the next cohort of we're coaching. The reason it got delayed slightly is we've been building a new training platform out, which we just actually started the testing phase today, I suppose, with the current Wedding Business Accelerator cohort. So watch this space, because we are going to be announcing spaces very soon for the new training platform, because we've been updating content. We've built a new training platform altogether. So we are going to be releasing a very limited number of spaces into a coaching very soon. So the people who've been messaging me, you'll have the opportunity to apply for that soon when we open it up. Do we have any questions about anything in general, really? But obviously, if it is about the Instagram SEO, anything like that, but we are happy to take questions just about your marketing in general. Any questions, get them in the comments section and we will answer them for you. We've been on 36 minutes. More than happy to stay on a little bit longer. If you guys have got stuff you want us to go over, anything we've missed out that you can think of, Jamie, from an SEO perspective? I mean, we've talked what we've done: captions, hashtags, keywords, writing copy, alt text. Well, yeah. I mean, one thing, right, that we haven't touched on, which we'll go over slightly, is Luke's just saying, I've stopped driving now, Jamie. Can stop panicking. I'm going car shopping. What you buying? What sort of car you going for?
Car shopping sounds nice.
It's about data, really. So if you start to decide, right, I'm definitely want to start ranking for these keywords, is start trying to keep track of data. So like, look at the insights, look at your analytics that are provided by the social media platform. So go into your Instagram analytics and start to see if you can notice any improvement once you start writing the longer form copy, which is SEO driven by the keywords that you actually want to rank for and become searchable for. It will need some tweaking, but one thing to note, and it is a really important point, this is that SEO is so different to running paid ads, because paid ads is, I don't want to say like almost immediately, but it's a much shorter game, where SEO is definitely a long game and it can take months for things to start to kind of fall into place. With SEO, you've kind of got to be on top of it all of the time. You've got to be consistent, but you've got to be patient as well. Like, admittedly, like not Instagram SEO, but like even SEO on my own website, I neglect a little bit because I'm just know that the paid ad system works so well. It's no excuse. I should really be running. I should be really be optimizing for SEO, but it's kind of one of those things where I've picked my battle I'm going to run with, and I'm going down the paid ads route. But yeah, SEO, it is important, but you've got to be patient, and it is definitely a longer game. I feel like SEO is it's quite difficult to track, because yes, you've got SEO experts, and some of them are fantastic. And they can get you on page one in Google, but then if their work stops, then you'll start, if you're not constantly maintaining it, you'll just start to see yourself slip back down those pages again. So it's something you've got to be on top of, but it is a much longer game. Luke's just saying he's not buying, he's getting ideas on what he wants.
Oh, he's called window shopping.
Window shopping. Enjoy, mate. Enjoy. Have a good day with that. But other than tracking and stuff, I can't really think of anything else that we've potentially missed.
I think that I suppose if you do a bit of a recap, it's make sure that you're not just pasting a block of keywords like you would hashtags, because you will get punished by the algorithm for that, for being inauthentic and essentially creating a bad experience for the end user as the algorithm sees it. Make sure that you're utilizing alt text on your images, so you can control what Instagram or how Instagram kind of ranks your images for searchability. And then also making sure that you are writing out your copy, spend a little bit more time including those keywords, including the curiosity gaps, including the we need like a name, we need like a special name. You know what I'm like for names, I like a name
We'll come up with one.
True crime copy. That's it. TCC, true crime. Oh, it's a mouthful. That try and say that. True crime copy curiosity gaps.
Too confusing with the wedding industry.
True crime copy confusing. Oh man, let's see. I can't even say it. Right, we're gonna call it curiosity gaps. For both organic and paid ads.
Yeah. No, it is unique mechanism. That's what we need. We need a unique mechanism for it.
That's right. Aye.
We'll come up with that. Just like the Thunderdome system, we'll develop our own Instagram SEO system for you guys.
One that you can still see after 12 pints and your face full of a kebab.
I can't see anything after 12 points. It doesn't look like we've got any questions coming in, but if you guys are watching the podcast, just a little plug for it. It would be really appreciative if you could give it a rating, if you could give it a review, leave a review. That would be really helpful. We'll be dropping another episode tomorrow, so look out for that inside of the Facebook group. I know people are a little bit behind, or you might not have started listening to the podcast. The feedback's been phenomenal on it. We've had some excellent messages. We've had some great guests on so far. Please go back through them and give the podcast a listen as well. But if you are wondering about our coaching program, we are going to be announcing some spaces very, very soon. So keep an eye out inside of the Facebook groups and on your emails for that as well. But everyone, thank you very much for jumping on. We will be live again like we are every single Wednesday at 12 o'clock next week. So we'll speak to you inside of the Facebook group, or we'll see you on the live then. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it.
Cheers, gang.
Thank you.